Across the planet, an area of forest the size of Ireland is being cut down each year. For the countries that host these forests, it's an essential driver for economic growth. But for the rest of us, we need forests to keep our planet in a livable state. So it seems that the short-term economic gains of cutting down forests are outweighed by the devastating consequences of deforestation. I met Dr. Doug Parr, Chief Scientist and Policy Advisor at Greenpeace, to understand what forests do for us.
The thing about forests is they produce clean air, clean water, they keep biodiversity going, which is so essential to keep pests in check for growing food and so on. So we need them, and the people are chopping them down because the things that are inside them are valuable, particularly the timber, particularly the land that can be used when the forests are cleared. And for local communities around those, they can find that quite a compelling argument, even though for the planet's sake, it's important that we keep them.
To learn more about why deforestation is so compelling, I met Will McFarland, a researcher at the Overseas Development Institute who specialises in forest management.
Throughout history, forests are a natural resource that countries have used to create new things, help them with their economic development and support the livelihoods of people. We get rid of forests so we can use the timber. We get rid of forests because we can then use the land for other economic activities. For example, grazing animals, growing crops, building cities, building motorways. That has a contribution to economic activity.
So how do we convince developing nations to keep their forests? Alistair McGregor, the Chief Operating Officer of Trucost, explained to me why we should take an interest in forests and how we can protect them.
So we should pay countries such as the Congo and Costa Rica, Brazil to protect their rainforests, because not only are there local ecosystem service benefits, they are responsible for sequestering a huge proportion, say 25% of global carbon emissions.
So is there any benefit to those developing countries to keep their forests standing?
Costa Rica protected its rainforest, took a conscious decision to protect its rainforest to promote ecotourism. The country now generates several $1 billion a year from ecotourism. It has over 2 million visitors each year, and this is for a country with a population of between 4 and 5 million. So they've generated a huge industry out of protecting their rainforests. In fact, the studies have been done that have quantified the benefit from national park entry fees at around $2,000 a hectare. So that's really equivalent and higher in some cases than you would get from agricultural output.
So there's been a study done in Kenya which looked at the economic benefit of getting rid of forests, for example, selling timber, using the land for other economic purposes, and they compared that to all the negative impacts. So we're talking about impacts on fisheries, irrigation for agriculture, and availability of water to use in hydroelectrics. And they found that the loss in those sectors would be 4 times greater than the kind of income generated through deforesting.
But let's say everyone goes for the short term. What would happen if we cut down all our forests?
Their absence is something that is really a bit of a matter of speculation. We know that they're influential, we know they can affect outcomes right across the planet, particularly when we're talking about these very big forests. Unfortunately, the only way to really know is if they disappeared. It's unfortunately an experiment that we're in danger of carrying out.
Ilmi Granov, also from the ODI, has a rather poetic justification for why we should protect our forests.
I think besides the actual economic services and ecosystem services that those ecosystems provide and forest systems provide, there's also an inherent value that they have that is much like the way you or I might care that the National Gallery has a Picasso that we may not ever have time to go see, but we want the government to spend money on to make sure that that part of our sort of global patrimony is protected and taken care of. So we're willing to spend a couple cents or pence or dollars or pounds a year in the total budget for each of ourselves to make sure that that's out there, even if we don't ever visit. And I think it's important to remember that it has both the economic value but also this inherent value.